Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Edman.
I am Jeffrey Edman, Acting Superintendent of Prisons. For those who do not know, all have been established. I would like to welcome each and every one of us to the prison service. The prison service is not necessarily an institution that we welcome people into, especially without a warrant that is filling all the paths. So once again, thank you for coming. It is indeed a pleasure to have all of you here today as we sensitize the public on the rehabilitation programs presently being undertaken at the Dominica Prison Service. As Superintendent of Prisons Acting, I would like to emphasize the crucial importance of continuing rehabilitation activities within the prison facility. These programs play a fundamental role in promoting the rehabilitation and successful reintegration of inmates back into society, ultimately contributing to a safer community and reducing recidivism rates in our country. Our department places a strong emphasis on providing inmates with opportunities for skill development and personal growth. We have at present the candle making and soap making module offers a practical and creative outlet to learn new skills, fostering a sense of accomplishment and potential for future employment opportunities upon re-entry into society. We have our English and social studies classes are designed to enhance inmates' educational backgrounds and equip them with essential knowledge and communication skills. These classes not only support academic growth, but also encourage critical thinking, self-improvement, and a deeper understanding of the world around them. Furthermore, ongoing literacy and drug prevention unit programs are vital components of our rehabilitation efforts. Literacy skills are fundamental for inmates to access educational resources, employment opportunities, and engage meaningfully with society. Simultaneously, drug prevention programs aim to address the substance abuse issues, promote healthy coping mechanisms, and reduce likelihood of relapse post-release. By investing in these rehabilitation activities and educational initiatives, we are not only empowering individuals to make positive changes in their lives, but also installing a sense of hope, purpose, and self-worth. These programs are instrumental in breaking the cycle of criminal behavior and fostering a supportive environment for inmates to work towards successful reintegration upon their release. I am proud of the dedication and progress demonstrated by both our inmates and staff in this program, and firmly believe that continuing to prioritize rehabilitation activities, we are laying a foundation for a more inclusive and rehabilitative prison service. Thanks to the Minister of National Security, the Permanent Secretary, staff of the Ministry of National Security and Legal Affairs, also Madisha Augustus for supporting us. Together, let us reaffirm our commitment to rehabilitation, education, and personal growth as essential pillars of the prison service philosophy. Thank you very much.
Thank you for those wonderful words, Mr. Edman. And now I call on the Honorable Minister for National Security and Legal Affairs, Honorable Rayburn Blackmore, to give pretty much the feature address and his remarks.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson. Good morning to all of you here this morning. I recognize all the heads of department who are here this morning, a large number. Only absentee, I'm seeing the police.
Did he come in?
And who have been advised is on his way.
He's on his way.
Let me in a special way welcome and acknowledge the presence of this media fraternity. I'm so happy that you made it here on very short notice. And I think it demonstrates a certain level of wanting to know what is happening at the state prisons. Let me firstly take this opportunity to highly commend the Superintendent of Prisons. I want to sit down and sit down. I have to pause because the Chief of Police is coming there and they're very imposing figures, so you have to acknowledge his presence. And since he has assumed the role as superintendent of prisons, we have seen that level of seriousness being brought back into the settings of the prisons, to the extent to which I hope I'm not going to set the tone for any bad thing to follow thereafter. We are seeing almost a zero occurrence of breaking out at the state prisons. And you can recall that there was a hoopla some times ago, although internationally, including the great and mighty United States of America, inmates do escape. But in Dominica, when that happens, again, appreciating the fact it's a very narrow-based society, very small, homogeneous, everybody knows each other, so when something like that happens, it creates some form of concern. What we are trying to accomplish as a policy of the government is to relook at the prisons. And it should not be looked at from a one-dimensional standpoint, strictly to incarcerate people. You know what incarcerate means. And certainly, there are some inmates who are at the prison setting who ought to be there for a long time, by virtue of the gravity of the crimes they have committed. Somebody who premeditates and takes a human life to spend his or her life behind bars. And we're a very kind society, and the laws are on our books, but the law still makes provision for execution for the offense of murder. Those who actually molest, especially minors, ought to rot in jail. I've been advised we still have the cat o' nine tails at the prisons. Isn't that something?
That's correct.
Yes. And before the cat o' nine tail, used to be used as a means of punishment, and it's formed part of the sentencing that was imposed for people who committed serious crimes. And when you impose yourself on a minor, you have changed that person's life, that innocent life, forever. And then if you're incarcerated, you should have a tough time. And the cat o' nine tail is so dangerous, you can only get it once per year. And then the effects would last for at least 6 months. So maybe we look at that for certain offenses. But having said that, the majority of people who come to prison ought to be given a second chance. And when they leave the prison setting, therefore, they ought to be better individuals, ready and equipped to contribute towards mainstream society. So as part of the menu of programs within the prison setting to rehabilitate our inmates, we have been, over the years, doing a number of things. And so we are here this morning just to give an appreciation as we attempt within the prison, being led by the superintendent of prison. And of course, I also want to commend your staff, Mr. Edmund, for the work they've been doing, and to really actually try to help our inmates here. We have designed and assigned a costing to a rehabilitation center that will actually be like a center of excellence within the prison setting. So vocational skills can be taught to our inmates in various disciplines. And that is something we're going to actually pursue with a high degree of intensity. And of course, that is something I've heard the Prime Minister made reference to. And the ministry therefore has to give credence to the policy or statement issued by the Prime Minister. And we're committed towards that. The design is completed, and we'll be heading towards that. So I'm happy that as we speak, we have a number of inmates who are pursuing their CXC in English and social studies as we speak. And of course, we are now on the last day of a training module where inmates are being taught as to how to make soap and candles. They want to leave the prison setting. That is something they can do as form of enterprise development and to engage themselves and to create some kind of livelihood and to contribute to our society. And we're happy that there has been a sense of enthusiasm in that class, and you'll be able to suggest now some of the work of the inmates. And that is precisely why we are here this morning, not to have a long and detailed and drawn out talk show here today. You know, I like talk shows too sometimes, what matters there. But today is just to give an appreciation that can inform the talk shows that there's good things happening in the country, and we need to celebrate and give currency to. We are also pursuing, because I believe that the prisons will get involved in the creation of a number of things, like costumes. So we are going to pursue costume building costs and leathercraft and woodcraft, because we have the labor pool there. So every Dominica is like carnival, and now carnival is becoming a spectacle globally, not only regionally but globally. So if you're planning to come to Dominica for carnival, you want to buy a costume, the prison ought to be able to make some costumes. It's not so superintendent. Build some costumes. And we get the material, they build costumes, so you can come to the prison to get a costume, and that money can be used to feed the prisoners. You understand what I'm saying? The next thing that we're doing, and we're just awaiting the completion of the secondary fence to further enhance the security of the prisons, because you don't want inmates while they're farming to be jumping over the wall and getting into Fogoli. So we used to have an agricultural program focusing also on animal husbandry also. So we believe that, because we spend something like $15,000 a month for dashing, you know. Because, you know, some of the guys don't want rice, they want dashing. And the law mandates states that there's a certain quantum of food you must give an inmate. You understand? You must give a certain quantum of cheese. You understand? I ever was talking, somebody called and talk about the food they get in only flour. That is not true. You understand? That's not true at all. Is that true, sir? Thank you very much. I'm not wrong that, you know. After I call you, that's not true. So that's not true. You have to give them a certain quantum. You can't give less than, and they know the rights. So if you choose a little less, no, you have to give more cheese. You have to give them a certain quantum of meat. It's not so simple. All right, thank you, right? So that's the reality. And so what we're concerned about in the ministry and the government by extension is to bring all the facts out there. Ultimately, it's up to you to make a decision as to what they want to accept, what they want to accept falsehood, or what is factual. That is an individual, choice that you have to make. I'm for trying to disseminate and transmit the truth. Right? So we have actually contacted someone, a local, we're trying to engage locals, to be the instructor for the custom building and the leathercraft and the handicraft and the woodcraft. We had an excellent individual, Mr. Richards, who studied. This guy is immensely talented. I've never seen a guy so talented. Richards. What's his name again? He was called commandant.
Major Richard.
Oh, yes,
Major
Major
Richard.
Richard.
I mean, he started the program at the prisons in woodcraft and leathercraft, and it was amazing to have seen the kind of shoes that the inmates were building. And then, but he had to migrate, and we were hoping that we could have him further contracted to build that into an enterprise and to get the inmates when they leave and to just do something for themselves. But at the end, on the issue of the farm, that is something to me that I'm very, very much passionate about. But I believe that the prison ought to be able to grow its own food. It's dashing, it's fake vegetables, and to provide even to the infirmary in the hospital. And so that is something we're working on. And we had a challenge with staffing, and we're actually building on that. We're taking a decision for cabinet to create additional positions, 27. And we are coming in, of course, we're getting new a new intake into the prison system. But of course, a prison officer has to be vetted. So it's not like you just wash your foot and come. And you have to make sure that the person is of a particular caliber. And sometimes when a person reach after a day or two, the person say, okay, that's not something I want to do. It's a calling. So we are looking at the prison from a holistic standpoint. One of the things that we are going to be doing is placing emphasis on not only, as I said, incarceration, but corrections, which is critical, corrections. And I think we're getting there. And Mr. Edmond, of course, is very much supportive to the minister's on that, view on that, and government policy on that, to place emphasis on rehabilitation. So, in time to come, in due time, you'll be seeing the plan for the prison unfolding. And of course, this rehabilitation center is very dear to my heart, and of course, it's something that the Prime Minister wants to see also. And the building look nice. We're going to be accused of building a college within the prisons. But at the end of the day, some of us can get to prison, not for killing somebody, or stealing. Anything can happen to us. You can be driving a vehicle and get into an accident. Somebody dies and something happens in the evidence, etc. In terms of when I say something happened, maybe you're under influence. You're not supposed to drive drinking. You see, and you can be charged for that, and you can end up going to jail. So these are things we have to ponder on. You understand? And yeah, there are some folks, of course, because some folks, when the chief magistrate is there, when it's Christmas is coming, and the chief magistrate or the magistrate is giving you 6 months, say, why you give me a suspended sentence? So, no, I want to go to jail. Christmas is coming because my meals are short. There are some people like that. You see? But most people, every normal person, would prefer his or her freedom. Do you get my point I'm saying? Right? So I want to take time out right now because to really comment here. So I'm not the easiest person to work with. Because the fact is, we have to get it done. My vocation is to serve the people of Dominica and to ensure that the policies of the government that's in office, the policies are enacted. And I'll do what I have to do to shift mountains, to shift chairs, you understand? To make sure that they're done. You understand? Once we can do that, I'm cool. But I don't have the capacity to hold anything on anybody. But it's to get it done. And so far, I think that we're doing that, and that's a manifestation of what we have been doing. My last point has to do, we have heard over the past, as to the congestion at the prisons. And people who are on remand. When you're on remand, you're not sentenced. So, but I still believe that you have to be treated with that sense of humanity. And there are many people within the system, hear them talk, who pretend like Dominica was just normal over the years. Bro, we had Hurricane Maria. When Hurricane Maria struck, the chief magistrate walked in most times during the journey from Rose to the post. And today, am I lying, chief magistrate? Thank you very much. Well, so I cannot be telling a lie on chief magistrate. I've exposed myself to legal jeopardy. No. So I'm saying, and they have to, the DPP office, they have to reconstruct files. There was no court for 2 years. Then we had COVID. No country in the Caribbean had Hurricane Maria. Certainly, you're going to have backlogs. The question is, how do we move forward and put systems in place with a work plan to address the backlog? But the courts have to be mindful of that also and assist the state, isn't that so? And we have to also take into consideration the public interest and the public good. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's not to say like the state is just sitting there and doing nothing to try to address the backlog. What we have done on the issue of the remands, we have just completed a new section for the remand section where we are going to ensure that the inmates who are on remand, they have access to washing facility. So we have 33 cells that have been standardized. And the inmates can be held individually in each cell, and they have access to at least washing facility, a toilet. Is that so, Mr.? Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Okay, so we're doing all that. Free. And as we speak, I want to compliment the superintendent because towards the end of the contract, the prisoners have to come in to complete that project because they have the talent within the prisons. They have people who can weld, but we have to cross-check the welding because we want to make sure the integrity of the welding is what we want and what we need. So we're going places at the prisons. And I want to commend you, sir. And we have just received money, and thank you to the Prime Minister, and the Minister of Finance, of over $200,000 to upgrade our camera system at the prisons and to observe every aspect and every angle of the prisons. And we're going to introduce scanners, and everybody coming into the prison setting, including prison officers, have to go through a scan. And we'll get independent people to man the scanners. Because I'm very much serious. Unless somebody is apprehended and taken before the court and come back to the same prison that they used to be supervising, this foolishness of bringing in objects to the prisons and things that should not be there, and drugs, etc., will not stop. So it's a costly exercise, and the cameras was almost more than $250,000 to invest. Plus, we have actually received the money over $150,000 for the scanners, and the scanners will be installed at the prisons. And also, everybody, including prison officers, have to be scanned, their bags, upon leaving, upon entering. I'm sorry for that, but that is what we have to do. We have to guard the guards also. Understand? I know it doesn't bother me. We have to do what we have to do. And so we are looking at the business from all the six standpoints. Thank you very much for coming, and the media people, thanks for coming. Emily is there? Where are you? Thanks for coming, yes. Anybody looking at it?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you can ask a question, but within the context of what we had today.
Was that?
Within the context of what we discussed today.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
No, you mentioned that Mr. Blackmore, that the death penalty remained on the books in Dominica.
Yes.
Why have we not made some changes and abolished completely?
Well, I know you asked me a policy a statement.
Yeah.
If I were to speak for myself, although one of my majors in sociology, but if I were to speak to myself, some people to me have to be hanged.
I didn't get that.
Left to me, right? Some people, by virtue of the crime that they commit, should face the death penalty.
No, but I'm asking, why have we not abolished the death penalty?
Well, that's a hypothetical question. I'm not going to answer it. It's in the books. When we get to that point, we'll address it, right? But for now, it's in the books. And I believe the death penalty is a tool that ought to be used in extraordinary cases. For a matter of fact, there was a matter where a couple years ago, we don't speak to that, where the state applied for a death penalty.
The death penalty is also endorsed in the sentencing guidelines.
Yeah.
So it's not only in legislation, the sentencing guidelines coming from the Supreme Court. Yes.
Yeah.
It's also endorsed in those guidelines.
Mr. Blackmore,
Yeah.
Speaking within your brackets there, you spoke about security and the need to provide scanners in the prison. I'm aware, sir, and this information is coming from inside the prison, sources from within, that in recent times, I don't know how much information you can provide, that some prison officers duplicated some keys to certain cells in the prison. Can you provide information on that, sir? If not true, you can say it's not true. If
Well,
true, tell me about it.
The thing is, what I can say to you is that within the national security apparatus of the state, there are certain things that the minister will never say. But I want to commend the prison because for the work that we have been able to do led by the prison, working in concert with the police and all other players. Anybody who have those kind of perverted minds will be actually identified and dealt with in the spirit of the law. That's all I have to say. We are going to put systems in place to mitigate against what you just spoke about.
So the prison is secure as we speak.
Well, the mere fact that we have not had a break-in, for how long, sir? Breakout, sorry. And the prison is secure, and security is a thing that they have to continue to upgrade and update. You get what I'm saying? You just made me reference about additional cameras. These cameras there have the capacity that they have not seen in Dominica. I cannot say that publicly. And now can I say where the camera is going to be installed? That is for the minister to know, and the superintendent. As I'm saying, and the police chief. But we are going to go after everybody and every player who are interfering with the state security. And we have certain laws on the books that have not been used. These are not smart laws are wrong, but they're reading the wrong laws. And if I know the wrong laws, they see the law as to how they think the law ought to be, and not how it is. You know what I'm saying? I hear them talk. But you have laws and certain actions that actually border on treason. And you can be held at the state prisons without bail when the matter has been heard. And those laws were not passed by the Honorable Roger Skerritt. He met them there. They were passed in the 80s, and they're there. Just to be mindful. Now, whoever the minister is can prohibit, by way of an order, people from entering the prisons. And the police chief can arrest any such person. So the minister can declare a certain parameter within the prison, restricted under the Prison Act. So we have ways and means to deal with the security of the prisons. And so far, Mr. Edman, I want to join the men for doing a tremendous job, but we're going even further and to enhance the security of the prisons. And we're also able to see from the sky too. You see, a lot of people who do their things on March 19th, we don't know whether they've been watched. Look, I'm watching. From all angles, even under the feet we were seeing. Yes, what I'm saying?
Anyway,
Because
investigations into that matter is complete.
which matter is that?
The March 19th matter. Investigations are complete.
I've not told you about anything like that. So if you want to, your inference, it has a logical inference you have drawn from what I said. You may pardon now. I must say that. I must say that you have heard me made reference to that publicly, and there's a reason for that. Well, I should say to you that I have confidence in the prison staff, and I'm the superintendent of prisons, and you're going to have bad actors everywhere in the world. You have them in the churches, you have them everywhere. And you have them in the media fraternity, you have them all about. You know what I'm saying? But I do not concentrate on the bad actors. I concentrate on the good actors. But the good actors are in the main, it's not so. But we give prominence to the bad actors. We must try to rehabilitate the bad actors, if they're capable of being rehabilitated. That is a decision they have to make, because if you want to seek counseling, you have to first accept that you have a problem. That's all they can win. But folks, you have other things to do. I have to do a walkthrough. I don't have much time. Yes, ma'am. The only reason I'm going to stay away from my area, Picati.
Okay, but you spoke on the rehabilitation center, but cost was not provided. Would you be able to provide us an estimate as to how much it will cost the state to build that center?
Well, I can say to you from nothing is cheap. We're looking at from the estimate that I've seen is $6.5 million.
What about the population here at the prison, Mr. Blackmore? I know we're talking about rehabilitation, but do we have a concern about the population at the prison?
No, I'll tell you why. When I was the minister, I've been around for a while, eh? Mr. Chatter was I wish him well. Mr. Chatter, a good Dominican, was the superintendent of prison. We had 300 something people. an email that was 300. That was in 2007, they about 300. Population now is 200 how much? 251. So we know the capacity of it. But to me, I want it to be less than that. And one of the issues that we have had, why the population is that high, there were a number of people in remand. And a number of people are there for murder. And it's as a consequence of the hurricane barrier, COVID, etc. All right, and then, so what we are looking at, although we have a people committal system, to see whether further amendments can be made. Now, in Trinidad, they have circumvented the people committal. People committal is a way where the defense and the prosecution are agreeing to commit the matter straight to the High Court. That's basically what it is. And the lawyers are signing off on behalf of his client. But what's happening right now, you still have a trial within the magistrate court. Although you have signed paper committal. That should not be the case. But in Trinidad now, what they have done away with paper committal. And some of them, I think the Central also, they have done that. But what is happening, they have a backlog at the Supreme Court level. So what you had at the magistrate court now is not happening at the Supreme Court level because you don't have enough judges. Understand? So it's not an easy matter. What you need is diligence from all levels. And people recognize that they represent the state. And of course, and the public interests have to be measured, not only from the standpoint of the public, but the accused to interest has to be considered within the public interest. And how do you strike a balance? You get my point. So we're looking at that. We had an issue with caveats, etc., and other issues. When I met in the Bar Association, we have gotten a full judge to deal exclusively with caveats, etc. From a magistrate court standpoint, as from the 1st of July, I've instructed that we're going to have night court. We have just approved for the engagement of an additional magistrate, and who should be up and running very soon. And we're looking for more. And we're going to further enhance downstairs of the magistrate court building to see how we can accommodate the family court. Family court downstairs, because we have enough space to do that. So we are pursuing that thing almost by way of precision, and we are not the worst in the Caribbean. For matter of fact, I was speaking to a colleague of mine and he said to me, Mr. Minister, why can't we exchange places? When he told me a number of the backlog that they had at the magistrate court level. But we have to do better. We have to do better. But Honorable Scarrett, the Prime Minister, and Mr. Blackman are not sitting on the benches. The man should control the benches. Understand? And when the prosecution it has been highlighted when lawyers are attending court and they don't have the courtesy to send the appropriate documentation if you're sick. I mean, that's a concern. So we have to address all those issues. And the people who are actually taking advantage of the system. You know? But again, when you have some people who have core responsibilities and they lead dignified fraternities, professional fraternities, they're supposed to be value-free, impartial, speaking for the public, and being part of the guardrail, speaking as candidates, we have a problem. You have to make up your mind what you want to do, whether you want to be a political candidate or you want to be leading a fraternity. You understand? And when I had to run for politics, I had to resign my job. And even when I did that, my very good friend, I would say, I was taking the court because I had not given enough notice. I was a public officer. So, yeah. Thank you very much. So we're going to do the walkthrough, folks. Thank you very much for coming. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.